1953. A kitchen in Indiana, 6 in the morning. A woman 5 months along stands at the stove in a cotton house dress, barefoot on cool linoleum. A saucepan of bone broth simmering from last night's chicken carcass. A small glass of cod liver oil on the counter. She drinks it without flinching, the way her mother did. No prenatal vitamin, no ultrasound, no app. Just instinct passed down through generations. These are the unspoken rules pregnant women in the 50s followed without question. And over the next few decades, medicine would prove most of them right. Now, before we dive in, if you find this helpful, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. The post-war boom brought something new into American homes. An industry that needed pregnant women to feel helpless without it. Prenatal vitamins in pink bottles. Formula marketed as science. Doctor visits that replaced the kitchen table. Not because the old rules failed, because nobody could charge for them. A glass of cod liver oil cost 3 cents. A prenatal supplement cost $3. The supplement won, not on merit, on margin. The global prenatal supplement market is now worth over $600 million, and most of what it sells was already sitting on the kitchen counter in 1952. Number 20. Cod liver oil every morning. A tablespoon of cod liver oil swallowed straight every single morning. Non-negotiable. Scott's emulsion in the white bottle with the man carrying the fish. 15 cents at the drugstore. The thick, fishy taste that made children gag and pregnant women swallow fast with their eyes closed. She did not know the words docosahexaenoic acid or vitamin D3. She knew her mother took it, and her babies were healthy. Modern research now confirms that the omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D3 in cod liver oil are critical for fetal brain development. Today's doctors warn that unmeasured cod liver oil poses a hidden danger, toxicity from excess preformed vitamin A. They support bone formation, and they reduce the risk of preeclampsia. That 3-cent spoonful was doing what a $12 prenatal capsule tries to replicate today. Number 19. Liver once a week. Beef liver or chicken liver served at least once a week, often on Thursdays. Calf's liver from the butcher counter at the A&P, 39 cents a pound. Pan-fried in butter with onions in a cast-iron skillet. The kitchen smelled of iron and caramelized onion. Children pushed it around the plate. Mothers ate it without complaint. Sometimes liver loaf from the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook, the 1953 edition. Liver is an incredibly rich natural source of folate, heme iron, B12, and choline. But it also delivers massive amounts of preformed vitamin A. Because of this, modern medical guidelines actually advise pregnant women to limit liver consumption to avoid toxic vitamin A, levels that can cause birth defects. The 1953 instinct was rich in nutrients, but modern science added a vital safety boundary. Number 18. The daily walk. Pregnant women walked to the grocery, to the post office, to the neighbor's porch. Walking was not exercise, it was how life worked. Flat shoes on the sidewalk. The Tom McCann Oxfords from the Sears catalog, $2.98. No pedometer, no target heart rate, just the rhythm of errands and daily life. A mile to the market, a mile back. Groceries in one arm, the toddler's hand in the other. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists now recommends at least 150 minutes per week of moderate activity during pregnancy. Walking is cited as one of the safest and most effective forms. She was getting that without trying. The walk was not a prescription. It was a Tuesday. Number 17. Whole milk, not skim. Pregnant women drank whole milk, full fat. Delivered to the porch in glass bottles, nobody questioned it. The clink of glass bottles on the front step before dawn. Borden's hood, whatever the local dairy ran. The cream line visible an inch below the cap. A tall glass with supper and another before bed. 8 cents a quart in 1954. The low-fat craze that began in the 1980s convinced a generation that animal fat was the enemy. Recent research from Harvard and other institutions now suggests full-fat dairy may support better fertility outcomes. It provides essential fat-soluble vitamins, though modern health guidelines emphasize that whether you choose whole or low-fat, the most critical rule is ensuring the milk is pasteurized. The milkman knew something the nutritionists spent 30 years unlearning, but the milk was only part of it. Number 16. Bone broth from the Sunday roast. Nothing was wasted. The chicken carcass, the beef bones, the ham hock, they all went into a pot with water, an onion, and whatever was left in the vegetable bin. It simmered all day Monday, then was strained into jars. A stock pot sat on the back burner of the O'Keefe and Merritt range. Amber liquid was ladled through cheesecloth into mason jars, then stored in the icebox. It was used for soup, for gravy, for cooking rice. A mug of warm broth was handed to the pregnant woman in the afternoon. Bone broth is now a $14 luxury product sold in boutique containers. The glycine, collagen, calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus it delivers are exactly what modern nutritionists recommend for pregnancy. She made it from scraps. She called it stock. 5 rules in, and every one of them came from the same source. Not a textbook, not a waiting room pamphlet, a kitchen, a mother, a neighbor who had done this 4 times before. These women were running a prenatal nutrition program from the pantry shelf without knowing what to call it. They needed a stock pot, a cast iron skillet, and whatever the garden was giving that week. Number 15. Ginger for morning sickness. Flat ginger ale, ginger snaps, ginger tea from a fresh root sliced thin. The universal first trimester remedy. Canada Dry in the green glass bottle, or a homemade brew from fresh ginger root kept on the nightstand. Sometimes a slice of fresh ginger steeped in hot water with a little honey, sipped slowly. First thing before the feet even touched the floor. Ginger is now one of the only non-pharmaceutical treatments for pregnancy nausea endorsed by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Multiple randomized controlled trials confirm its effectiveness. Grandma's Ginger Snap Cure is now a peer-reviewed finding. The cookie tin beat the pharmacy by half a century. Number 14. Smaller meals, more often. Pregnant women ate lightly and frequently. Breakfast, a mid-morning snack, lunch, an afternoon bite, supper, and sometimes a small plate before bed. A soft-boiled egg and toast at 7, a handful of saltine crackers, and a glass of milk at 10. Supper with the family at 6. A warm glass of milk at 9. Modern obstetric guidelines now recommend frequent small meals to manage blood sugar, to reduce nausea, and to prevent the blood pressure spikes that come with large, heavy meals. The structure of a 1950s kitchen day naturally produced this pattern. Nobody called it grazing. They called it keeping your strength up. Number 13. Eggs every single morning. A fried egg, a scrambled egg, a soft boiled egg in a cup. Eggs were breakfast every day, no exception. A brown egg cracked on the rim of the skillet. Butter sizzling in cast iron. The white setting firm, the yolk still soft. A sprinkle of salt from the Morton's shaker. 10 cents a dozen at the farm stand. Sometimes 2 eggs for a woman who was expecting. The yolk deep orange if the hens had been in the yard. Eggs are the richest common dietary source of choline, a nutrient now recognized as critical for fetal brain development and neural tube closure. 90% of pregnant women in America today are deficient in choline. Most prenatal vitamins contain little to none of it. The farm wife eating 2 eggs at sunrise every morning of her pregnancy was building her baby's brain with a food that cost a penny each. Number 12. The afternoon rest. After the lunch dishes were done, a pregnant woman lay down. 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes with her feet on a pillow. This was expected, not indulgent. The cotton bedspread pulled back, the bedroom curtains drawn against the afternoon sun, the sound of the older children playing outside, filtering through the window screen. Shoes off, stockings peeled down, eyes closed. The house was quiet for 1 hour in the middle of the day. Modern studies now link inadequate sleep and rest during pregnancy to increased risk of preeclampsia and gestational diabetes. Daytime rest significantly reduces cortisol levels and blood pressure in pregnant women. The afternoon nap was not laziness. It was prevention, and the house protected it like a law. Number 11. Oatmeal for breakfast. A bowl of cooked oats from the round Quaker Oats canister. Standard morning fare for a pregnant woman. 23 cents for the large canister. Cooked on the stovetop with water or whole milk, a pat of butter melting on top, a spoonful of brown sugar. Sometimes raisins, sometimes a drizzle of blackstrap molasses. Oatmeal delivers slow-release complex carbohydrates, soluble fiber, iron, and B vitamins. Modern endocrinologists now recommend it specifically for blood sugar stability in pregnancy, for reducing gestational diabetes risk. She was regulating her insulin response with a food that cost less than a nickel a serving. Halfway through this list and a pattern is forming. Not one of these rules came with a warning label. Not one arrived in a pamphlet from the obstetrician's office. They traveled mouth to mouth, mother to daughter, neighbor to neighbor across the back fence. Number 10. Sauerkraut, pickles, and buttermilk. The knowledge was free. It was tested on 1 million kitchen tables before any researcher touched it. And then one day it stopped being passed down. Not because it was wrong, because someone with a product to sell got louder. Fermented foods were staples, not trends. Sauerkraut from a crock in the cellar. Dill pickles brined in a glass jar. Buttermilk by the glass. The stoneware crock on the cellar shelf. The faint tang of brine rising when the lid came off. Clausen pickles, or the homemade kind in quart mason jars with dill heads floating at the top. Buttermilk from the dairy at 12 cents a quart, thick and sour. The gut microbiome is now recognized as central to immune function and nutrient absorption. It plays a direct role in fetal immune programming. The craving for pickles that has been the oldest joke in pregnancy was the body asking for exactly what it needed. Number 9. The Epsom salt bath. A cup of Epsom salts dissolved in a warm bath, taken 2 or 3 times a week, especially in the 3rd trimester. The cardboard carton from the drugstore, 20 cents. The faint mineral smell of magnesium sulfate, warm water up to the chest, swollen ankles disappearing beneath the surface. 20 minutes of silence in the bathroom with the door closed. 20 cents and 20 minutes. That was the prescription. Magnesium deficiency during pregnancy is linked to leg cramps, preeclampsia, and premature contractions. Transdermal magnesium absorption through the skin is now a recognized phenomenon. Integrative obstetricians and midwives recommend it as a safe, effective method of supplementation. Number 8. Blackstrap molasses in warm milk. A tablespoon of blackstrap molasses was stirred into a glass of warm milk and taken before bed. This was a standard remedy for keeping iron levels up. Grandma's molasses or Brer Rabbit brand. The dark, almost bitter syrup poured thick from the tin, stirred into whole milk warmed on the stove. It was drunk slowly, standing at the counter, before turning out the kitchen light. 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses contains nearly 20% of the daily iron requirement, plus calcium, plus magnesium, plus potassium. Modern prenatal iron supplements cause constipation and nausea. They deliver the same mineral in a synthetic form the body absorbs less efficiently. She slept better after that glass of warm milk. She did not know why. The iron knew. Number 7. Sleeping on the left side. Mothers and midwives told pregnant women to sleep on their left side, especially in the later months. No explanation given, just sleep on your left. A pillow tucked between the knees, another wedged behind the lower back. The left arm out, the right hand resting on the belly. Modern research confirms that left-side sleeping improves blood flow through the inferior vena cava. It increases circulation to the uterus, the kidneys, and the fetus. Landmark studies published in international obstetric journals have found that sleeping on the back in the 3rd trimester is associated with an increased risk of stillbirth. Modern guidelines advise sleeping on either side, meaning left or right, as both effectively clear the inferior vena cava compared to lying flat on your back. She did not need to. Number 6. The postpartum belly binder. After delivery, women wrapped their midsection firmly with a wide cotton band or wore a postpartum girdle. They spent weeks of binding, tight enough to support, not to squeeze. A long strip of muslin was wound around the abdomen, starting at the hips, overlapping upward, and pinned in place with large safety pins. Or the elasticized postpartum girdle from the Sears catalog cost $2.49. It was worn under the house dress for 4 to 6 weeks. Women slept in it and removed it only to bathe. The modern medical term is abdominal rehabilitation. Diastasis recti, the separation of abdominal muscles after pregnancy, is now a recognized condition treated with compression and targeted exercises. The cotton binder every postpartum woman wore in 1954 was doing exactly that, supporting the muscles and encouraging them back together. Today, the belly band is sold in physical therapy clinics for $35. The muslin strip cost nothing. It came from the linen closet. Every one of these rules shared one quality. They required slowing down. The bath took 20 minutes. The broth simmered all day. The rest demanded a closed door and a quiet house. Pregnancy in that era forced stillness, not as punishment, as architecture. The body was building something, and these women understood without being told that building required quiet. The modern world did not take that away on purpose. It simply forgot to protect it. Number 5. Raspberry leaf tea in the final weeks. In the last 4 to 6 weeks, women switched to raspberry leaf tea, 1 or 2 cups a day. Their mothers told them it would make the labor easier. Dried raspberry leaves came from the garden or from the herbalist counter at the pharmacy. They were steeped in a teacup for 10 minutes until the color resembled weak claret. The taste was mild, slightly astringent, faintly green. The tea was sipped in the afternoon while hemming a baby blanket or folding cloth diapers into neat squares. Raspberry leaf contains fragarine, a compound shown to tone the uterine muscles. One randomized controlled trial of nearly 200 women found a shorter second stage of labor and a lower rate of forceps delivery among those who consumed it. The cup of tea in the last weeks was not superstition, it was preparation, and it cost less than a dime. Number 4. Sunshine in the garden. Pregnant women spent time outdoors every day. In the garden, on the porch, hanging laundry on the line, sun on the face and arms for at least 30 minutes, the smell of turned earth and tomato vines, the weight of a wet bed sheet lifted to the clothesline, wooden clothespins snapped into place, bare arms in the morning sun, the screen door banging shut at noon, the garden hat with the wide brim, the porch rocker in the late afternoon, a glass of lemonade on the railing. Vitamin D deficiency is now one of the most common nutritional problems in pregnant women worldwide. Studies report a prevalence that ranges from 18 to 84% depending on the country. It is linked to preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, and low birth weight. Modern women are told to take a supplement. Mid-century women stood in the sun. The synthesis happened in the skin, free of charge, through the kitchen window and the backyard garden every single day. Number 3. The neighbors brought food. When a woman had her baby, the neighborhood fed the family. Casseroles, soups, bread, pies delivered to the back door without being asked. Sometimes for weeks. The Pyrex dish with the masking tape on the bottom. The neighbor's name written in ballpoint so it would come back. A pot roast still warm in a Dutch oven. A loaf of bread wrapped in a dish towel. A pie left on the porch railing with a note. The parade of women arriving quietly through the kitchen door, holding food and asking nothing. Postpartum depression affects roughly 1 in 7 women. Research consistently shows that social support is one of the strongest predictors of postpartum mental health. Stronger than income, stronger than marital status. Women with low social support are nearly 3 times more likely to develop postpartum depression than those with strong support around them. The Casserole Brigade did not know the clinical term for what they were preventing. They called it being a good neighbor. The woman healing in the back bedroom did not have to cook, plan, or ask for help. The help was already in the kitchen, already warm, already on its way. Number 2. No worry, no upset. The family shielded the pregnant woman from bad news, conflict, and stress. Arguments were taken outside. Bills were discussed later. Upsetting phone calls were intercepted. The household organized itself around her calm. The husband stepped onto the porch to finish the conversation. The mother-in-law changed the subject at dinner. The sister said it can wait until after the baby comes. There was a deliberate hush when the pregnant woman walked into the room. It was a conspiracy of peace, organized without a word. Chronic maternal stress floods the fetal environment with cortisol. Modern research now links elevated prenatal cortisol to low birth weight, preterm delivery, altered brain development, and long-term anxiety disorders in children. The family that closed ranks around the pregnant woman was doing something that modern obstetrics now calls stress reduction therapy. They called it minding your own business and letting her rest. Number 1. The lying in. After the baby came, the mother did not leave the house. For 2 weeks, sometimes 4, sometimes 6. She stayed in bed or close to it. Her mother or her mother-in-law moved in. The world came to her. She did not go to the world. The bedroom with the bassinet beside the bed. The tray brought in at mealtime. Broth, toast, soft-boiled eggs, warm milk. The baby placed on the breast whenever it cried. Clean linens every other day. The grandmother rocking the baby while the mother slept. The front door answered by someone else. The telephone answered by someone else. The groceries bought by someone else. The older children dressed and fed and walked to school by someone else. 2 weeks of nothing but healing and feeding and sleeping and holding the baby. 4 walls and a closed curtain and complete, uninterrupted rest. The modern postpartum period has no protected space. Women are discharged from hospitals in 24 to 48 hours, expected to function, expected to recover without structure, without help, without rest. As many as 40% of women do not even attend a postpartum visit. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists now calls the first 12 weeks after birth the 4th trimester. They urge ongoing care rather than a single follow-up appointment. The lying in knew this before the acronym existed. It was practiced in every culture on earth, under different names, for thousands of years. And when it disappeared, when families shrank and scattered, and the culture decided that strength meant getting back to normal, something essential was lost. Not a tradition, a protection. The kind that only a mother standing in the doorway with a pot of broth and a firm voice could provide. Somewhere right now, a woman is pregnant for the first time. She is standing in the vitamin aisle, holding a bottle she cannot pronounce. And if her grandmother were still here, she would take her gently by the hand, lead her back to the kitchen and say, "Sit down. I already know what you need." And if you want more forgotten wisdom from the generations who came before us, the next video is waiting for you right now.